I've been getting a lot of questions about my nightly cookies. There are 4 things that are going to affect your cookie: the recipe, the mixing method, the baking tools that you use, and the oven. So these 4 things are what I'm going to talk about. And if you want a crispy cookie, you are looking at a stiff dough, high fat, higher sugar, and a low moisture cookie dough. So if you think you have a high moisture loose dough and it's got oats in it, let's say, and then you put that in the cooler overnight, those oats are going to pull all the moisture and suck it out of the rest of your cookie. So now you have a drier cookie. So if you're looking for a soft cookie, you want more moisture, but you want less sugar and less fat. And what kind of sugar? So if you're using high sucrose percentages, you're going to get a crisper cookie. If you're using any invert sugar, like when you put molasses or corn syrup into a cookie, it's going to automatically make it softer and lengthen the shelf life because it won't dry out as quickly because the invert sugar is basically holding on to the moisture in your cookie. That makes sense, right? So if you're looking for a crisper cookie, you're going to look for more spread. More baking soda is going to give you more spread. A higher sugar content is going to give you more spread. The mixing method that you choose is really going to affect the outcome of your cookie. The longer that you aerate the fats and your sugars, the more air cells you're going to incorporate. The sugar cuts through the fat and creates little holes that get filled with air. The more holes you have when you put that in the oven, the more it's going to deflate and spread. The fewer holes you have, the more it's going to hold up and be a little more stiff. So when I talk about oatmeal cookies and I say they absorb a lot of moisture, I want to create more air cells so that as that moisture migrates to the oats, that I don't get a hockey puck of a cookie, I get it to spread more. So I'm taking more than one consideration and putting them all together to reach my outcome. The other thing that you can do in order to create more spread when you're mixing less is to create less gluten development. The more gluten development you have, the tougher it's going to be. It's not going to spread. But if you barely mix it and you take into account when you add the liquids, this is not going to create that strong gluten structure. It's going to create a looser thing. You can also go from using, some cookies use bread flour. That's a lot of gluten. So you probably don't want to overmix it. If you're using AP flour, it's less gluten, but you still need to be careful. If you are the type that turns on a mixer and walks away and it gets overmixed, and then you don't like how your cookies turn out, maybe you should be using a pastry flour or cake flour that has less gluten in it, and you will get a less stiff, tight dough. If you have a batter, when you scoop it, that just comes out of the scoop and isn't firm, it's slack, you're gonna get more spread. It's already spreading. Then you get into your baking tools. One baking tool that is vital to your success is your refrigerator. You can refrigerate cookie dough, and if you take it outside of the cooler, even for 10 minutes and slack it, it's gonna spread in the oven. I know which cookies need to come straight from the freezer to the oven and which of my cookie recipes need to go to the countertop to slack or to the refrigerator to slack. If you use a really big scoop, your portion size is bigger, you're going to have a softer cookie. So this one's a little bit smaller, and then this one's even smaller. So if I put all 3 of these cookie sizes onto one tray to bake them, this one's gonna bake first, then this one, and then this one, and if I bake them all at the same time, this one will be soft, this one will be somewhere in the middle, and this one will be crispier. This is a perforated pan, and the airflow is going to crisp your cookie faster, period, okay? It's different than this, which isn't allowing air to get through. So it's gonna take a minute more for the heat to go through this guy than this guy. If you want your cookies to get crisper and not spread as much on a pan, you wanna use parchment. Again, because you're not getting in the way of the heat transfer. When the heat comes through here, the parchment isn't stopping it. So it's going right to your cookie, and that's going to set it because it starts out soft, and as it dries out and heats up, it's gonna dry on the exterior first, and then you get that shape, and it's not gonna spread anymore because it's set. Once it gets to the ultimate size and shape that the cookie's gonna be, which all happens within the first 7 minutes of baking-ish, depending on a lot, then you've already got your cookie set. That's why I say turn the oven down to 275, because then you just roast it. You don't want to continue to brown it and dry it out because it's already dry. You've already got the shape. So if you want to extend that time to get the shape where you want it to be, you have a couple of options. One, after it gets to maybe a point where you feel like it's getting a little brown and maybe gonna stick with that shape, just put another pan underneath it. What happens between these two pans is there's air in here. Now, even though this is hot, it's been in the oven, you're baking your cookie, whoop, you created an insulation. So there's a little room there for this to ever so slightly cool down, and it's going to help the bottom of your cookie not get quite as dark. Then if you want a pan that's got a silpat, you're getting insulated properties. So when I put the cookie on here, the heat isn't going to transfer as quickly, so the butter in the cookie is going to begin to melt. Now, if I added a ton of air cells, it's gonna melt faster than if I did not a long creaming method and there are fewer air cells. So again, you're not thinking about this particular recipe you're working on today. You're taking notes and thinking about the things that you like and don't like, so that next time you can shoot, your goal can be toward the thing that you like. Because literally everyone likes cookies the way they like them. So the oven matters. If you're using a convection oven, which is great for cookies, that is moving the air around the oven and drying your cookie out faster. So I don't know if you know this, but if you have a convection oven and a recipe calls for, let's say 350, the rule is that you need to turn your oven down by 25 degrees. There's no reason that you have to bake all your cookies at one time. Get them in the refrigerator, let them hydrate overnight, and then do a test. One test. If you do a test, then you dial it in, and then you're more likely to have a good outcome with the rest of your cookies. So I have two different cookies here, but I'm not going to put them on the same cookie sheet. I'm going to put them on separate cookie sheets. That's why I use the little quarter sheets, because then you can have 3 or 4 of these in your oven. You don't need one big cookie sheet. So now you've baked your cookie, it's coming out of the oven. What do? If I feel like a cookie is already dark enough and I can see that the bottom's dark, I take those off of the cookie sheet and I get them onto a cooling rack. Number one piece of advice is that you get to know your recipe, you test one cookie at a time, you take notes, and you dial it in. Because there is no one answer. There is literally nobody on the planet who can tell you exactly how to do your cookie in your home with your recipe, your mixer, your knowledge, your skills, your ability to focus and think about how your cookie's gonna turn out. Just you, only you, just you and your cookie. I absolutely love hearing your stories about how the cookies go and who likes a crispy cookie and who likes a soft cookie. Strong opinions about baking is what I live for. Bring them.